Fetterman called it bizarre and reportedly mocked it in the Senate hallway. I will say that your punching looked better than some of your colleagues. Fetterman has been criticizing.
Welcome back, YouTube. It's your host, Bruce GNT. And from the title of the video, you already know what we're talking about. Yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah, I don't like when I talk about Jasmine Crockett or just any type of known black person or whatever. I get a lot of harsh comments. They don't hurt my feelings. I really don't give a shit. But I just find it so hilarious. And the crazy part is that the more you keep saying to not do these or I'm going to fail or whatever have you, the more I'm just going to keep doing it. I see it as motivation. It keeps putting a battery in my back. So thank you for all that. Thank you to all the people that support me, and thank you to all the people that don't support me, because indirectly you're supporting me. So I thank you. This one goes out to you. We're going to talk about Jasmine Crockett. She's going to be on CNN, and she's pretty much talking about how the Democrats, their poll numbers are at an all-time low. So let's not listen to me talk. Let's let her do all the talking.
No plan, no strategy, no message. That's a quote. That's how a Democratic lawmaker was describing the Democratic Senate vote with Republicans this weekend to fund the government with a Republican funding bill, averting a government shutdown, but there was virtually no fight and nothing achieved for Democratic priorities. This comes as our brand new CNN poll this morning shows that the Democratic Party's favorability is at an all-time low in this CNN poll. It's just 20.
So before we continue, I just want to say that that's CNN's poll. I've also seen different polls where they're ranging even lower. So like 25 to 21. The lowest I've seen was 21. But essentially they're pretty much in the 20s, which is not good. Like this is the lowest it's been in a long time.
29% approval. That's a 20-point drop since 2021. Joining us now is a Congresswoman from Texas, Jasmine Crockett. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you squeezing us in before you go to church. This has been a rough 72 hours for Democrats. I want to play some of what Democratic Senate Leader Schumer told me on The Lead on Friday about his decision to vote with the Republicans to fund the government. Take a listen.
A government shutdown gives Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Doge almost complete power as to what to close down, because they can decide what is an essential service. If they determine that SNAP, kids shouldn't get food, is not essential, they can just cut it out summarily. They could fire half the workers in the federal government. It would have been a far worse consequence.
So he's saying that the path that House Democrats wanted would have presented a worse consequence. Is he wrong?
He's absolutely wrong. I mean, look at the reality of the votes, right? I understand that the American people are frustrated. Please believe many of us did not sleep because we were calling and trying to impress upon the senators the importance of pushing back in this moment. And as you saw, we had all but one Democrat in the House that voted for this. So that's 212 Democrats in the House. And then you had the vast majority of senators vote for it or vote against it as well. And so the idea that Chuck Schumer is the only one that's got a brain in the room and the only one that can think through all of the pros and cons is absolutely ridiculous. And Jake, you and I both know that this administration could care less about whether or not they violate the law. We know that we've had to rely heavily upon the courts. And I want to say, as you're talking about the polling on my party, I want to say that it is the Democratic attorney generals and some governors that are standing up against this administration and bringing those lawsuits and winning every single time. They are losing in court. Could we do a better job of making sure that the American people know that we are winning in the courts? We probably could. But at the end of the day, it's still Democrats that are winning for the American people.
So she said a lot. And the first thing I want to attack is, or address, I should say, because I don't want to say attack. I don't need people coming at me. I don't care. This is the part that gets me with both sides. I don't like how they say, hey, look, this is the fact this was going to happen. And then someone on their side says, no, that's a lie. That's not true. Because if you're telling me what Chuck Schumer said is not true, that would mean that in some way, shape, or form, he's lying. And he's just making up a reason to go against the Democratic Party. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Also, too, we need term limits on these people. I don't know why Chuck Schumer is still in there. It doesn't make any sense. Like, there should be a term limit on how long you could be within Congress. Doesn't make sense that we got to do is that old enough to be my grandpappy is still in Congress. That's dumb to me, but my own personal opinion. But to get back to what I was saying before, so what is it? Because essentially what she's trying to say is that all of what he said is just not true, and essentially, possibly, not putting words in her mouth, that there's an ulterior motive as to why he voted with the Republicans to push forward with the spending bill. So it makes me kind of wonder, okay, not her in particular, but just in general, how can we trust the things that you say if one of you, especially when you're on the same side, says one thing, then the other is pretty much saying, oh, well, that's not true. I don't know why he would think that. And she even goes further to say, to assume that he's the smartest one in the room because he made the decision that no one else could make, which insinuates that he knew better than everyone else. It's just factually incorrect. I can't speak on whether or not that's the case, but still, it makes me think, okay, you guys as a party are not cohesive, and that there's other things going on that the American people don't know. And it makes me kind of feel like I can't trust you. Because my thing is this, you're saying this about him and what he's saying is incorrect. He could say the same thing for you. So you know what I'm saying? Who do I trust? Who do I trust? Also, to address her other points, look, you're saying that you're winning for the American people, but the American people, for the most part, did not want you. You guys lost seats in the House, and you lost the presidency. So that would mean to tell you that even though you say that you're fighting for the American people and you're winning for them, the American people don't feel like that. And then not only that, let's add on to the fact that a good deal of their message are things that the American people don't really agree with. They don't vibe with it. So they're letting their feelings be known. And look, I try not to go too much on certain like news sites when it comes to certain things. I try to go more so on Forbes and other unaffiliated or lesser known affiliated news sites, because a lot of things are jaded. A lot of things are very much skewed to one side. But one thing I could say is that, save for a few things that are going on within this administration, a lot of people aren't upset. Yeah, they're upset about the price of eggs, but the price of eggs were already going up before he got into office. And I know that because I eat a lot of eggs. I eat 3 to 4 eggs a day. It's terrible, terrible. My cholesterol is great though. So I already saw the egg prices going up. Like, trust me, I already saw that. And I would usually buy more organic eggs. So I already knew that was the case. And plus the whole bird flu epidemic and everything like that. But I say all that to say that the American people are saying how they feel and what they think about the Democratic Party. And it seems like they're still not getting it.
Some progressive groups are calling for new leadership in the Senate for Democrats. Even House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, your leader, he was asked if he supports Schumer as leader of the Senate Democrats, and he said, next question. Do you think Senate Democrats should replace Chuck Schumer?
I think Senate Democrats have to sit down and take a look and decide whether or not Chuck Schumer is the one to lead in this moment.
You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections. And so I definitely think that younger, fresher leadership may be something that many of us, not just depending on what part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
First of all, she gave a very good non-answer because she's political. She already knows that I can't say what I have to say about Chuck Schumer because he still is pretty much in charge and he has his own allies. And for her to be able to do what she wants to do and get to where she needs to be, she can't say anything that's a little bit too controversial. Compared to the other congressmen and women that are in, she's fairly new. So the last thing that she wants to do is make enemies or say something that might put her on the outs within this Democratic Party. That's not what she needs. So very smart on her. I give her that. My thing is this, because I'll address AOC last. Chuck Schumer did a thing that I think Gavin Newsom is trying to do, unsuccessfully by the way, where he's trying to move over and be a little bit more moderate. I saw this creator on Instagram and she was speaking about how, you know, the conservatives are becoming more conservative, going more so on the right, and the liberals are kind of leaning right as well. I disagree a little bit because the vast majority of them have been very left leaning, and now because they see that it's not going the way they want it to go, and people kind of bucking back and going, whoa, we don't like this. Some of them are kind of leaning a little bit to the right now. And I think they're trying to show that they're more moderate because with this past election, they saw that, hey, look, people aren't really rocking a lot of our messages, so we need to change things up a little bit, or at least appear that we're changing things up. That's why Gavin Newsom came up with this podcast and invited Charlie Kirk, the very first person. I saw some videos of people upset, like, why would he not invite, you know, Michelle Obama or someone else that's going to create this whole echo chamber where it bounces off the walls and they just agree and jerk each other off. Look, the reason he didn't do that because that just wouldn't be the smart thing to do. No one wants to hear the exact same shit over and over again. They want to hear two different opinions and then maybe some type of agreement. Chuck Schumer was pretty much just trying to go with the get along gang, meaning he's understanding that what he has to do and to help the Democrats in the long run, can't speak on one that is really going to help them, is that he needs to move over a little bit and be more moderate, because if not, you're going to have an AOC situation. Now, what do I mean by that? AOC may be like here on the outside, like the rocket shit for the Democratic Party for them to like lead them into the, like the future, but no. And the reason why I say that is because one, her district is trash. You know, she's for the most part, she presides over the Bronx, and no offense to the Bronx, but look, y'all not doing so hot over there. Honestly, you're not, and that's your politicians' fault. It really is. But then again, I guess you could say it's you guys' fault too, because you guys voted them in or didn't vote them in, because voter turnouts are always low. But when it comes to what's going on with the migrant crisis, I did a video not too long ago where they were talking about reopening a migrant shelter, all men migrant shelter in the Bronx, and the citizens stood up and said, hell no, y'all not doing that. What y'all talking about? Stop. You know, the crime that's going on in the Bronx, like the economic capabilities of the people within the Bronx, they keep talking about time and time again. They keep talking about time and time again how the people are struggling. So, and that's her district. That's her district. And yet all this nonsense is going on. Another reason why she wouldn't be a good face for the Democratic Party is because all this stuff is optics. They tell you in the Marine Corps, perception is reality, right? On the outside, not a bad person to lead the Democratic Party. I'll say that honestly. On the outside. But the minute you do any type of digging, and I don't even mean like deep digging, I mean a little scrape, then you're going to see like she has very radical views. Her views on immigration are very much of the complete opposite of what the American people voted for. For her, in a sense, she kind of believes that there should be no borders, that people should just stay in here. Her and Tom Homan had like a little back and forth because she was telling people that were here illegally, telling them ways of how they could avoid ICE. Look, I'm all for humanitarian efforts and everything like that, being nice to people. But if you're here illegally, you're not supposed to be here. I don't think it's smart for you to be someone that's in Congress to be telling people, yeah, this is how you avoid it. They're not supposed to be here, because you're forgetting that you're not only telling the good people, right? You're telling the people that are bad as well. And to me, that doesn't make any sense, but I digress. Another thing about AOC that's very controversial, especially in this time and age, is that her ideas on gender and sex and everything like that, very much not what the good majority of the American people feel. It's not. And if she was to put herself forward to be the leader of the Democratic Party, and or, which I already know they're setting her, Jasmine Crockett, and definitely Gavin Newsom to be some of the front runners when it comes to the 2028 election, people are going to bring that up and talk about, hey, look, what's a woman? And she's going to say,
trans girls are girls. And for all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen. I don't know about y'all, I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time. But what this also opens the door for is for women to try to perform a very specific kind of femininity. And
people are not going to like that. They're not. So we can sit here and be like, yeah, she seems like a strong candidate. No, she's not. No, she's not. Because I'm going to tell you what, she's going to get some votes. She's going to get some people that support. But the vast majority of America is going to be like, yeah, I'm not really down for all this nonsense. Me being one of them. And after this election, people are going to be more informed and more able to find information on candidates, on who they want to vote for and who they want to keep within, you know, Congress, you know, the Senate, whatever have you. They're going to be more able to do that and look for the information and be able to be less ignorant of what's going on around them more than ever. And when they peel back the layers on someone like AOC, they're gonna see, oh, you have, and your district is kind of, yeah, nah, we can't put you forward. If the Democratic Party was smart, they'll leave her alone. You know, she's a good face, you know, she seems strong, tough, you know, but no, she needs to sit down.
How to take on the Republicans is a big topic of discussion among Democrats. Last week, you were one of those who participated in a Choose Your Fighter video. It got some criticism online, including Democratic Senator John.
Let me just say that was the corniest shit I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life. I've seen some corny things. I'm a nerd. I like anime, I like comics and all that stuff. So those of you who know, I've seen some cringy things. This was up there. And then not only that, think of it like this. You're a Democrat and you already feel like the Democratic Party isn't taking it seriously. They're not doing enough and whatever have you. And then you see this and you're sitting there like, I hate you. Legit. That's what they're probably saying.
John Fetterman called it bizarre and reportedly mocked it in the Senate hallway. I will say that your punching looked better than some of your colleagues. Fetterman has been criticizing your party for undignified antics and a sad cavalcade of self-owns during the president's address to Congress. What's your response to Senator Fetterman?
He's not the one to talk about anything. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't seemingly want to own a suit. I'm not really sure. But I don't show up in hoodies when I'm going on the floor. And so the idea that you would say that we could not have a moment in which an influencer asked us to do this. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you and tell you that when she asked me to jump, I said, did you ask my older colleagues to do this? Because
they need to get better influencers, because even if an influencer asks me to do it, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. Like, yeah, it probably got like a lot of views and everything like that, but not for good reasons. Not for good reasons. It made y'all look goofy. But if you feel the opposite, cool, go ahead. Do what you want to do.
I feel like you're picking on me because you think that my knees are a little younger. And I did not know who all was in this particular trend whatsoever. And I think that it is important that people see that we're real people. And even if that means that there's a moment to laugh, that's okay, especially since it seems like we're doing more crying than anything. But just know that we were not on the House floor jumping around at all, whereas Senator Fetterman is consistently walking around the Senate chamber, and he is walking around in such a way that they literally had to change the rules in the Senate so that he could walk around that way. So I just don't think that he's necessarily the one to actually have an opinion about this.
Let me ask you about the big news of this morning. President Trump seeking to use the Alien Enemies Act, a wartime authority, a law signed by John Adams in 1798, to deport undocumented Venezuelans that the administration say are dangerous individuals with ties to the gang Tren de Aragua. That gang is obviously associated with a lot of crime, human trafficking, drug dealing, theft, shootings, including in your state of Texas, right outside of your congressional district. Do you agree with this? And if not, what's your issue with the U.S. using any tool at its disposal to remove undocumented, violent people from this country?
Well, my argument is that we already have tools that are available to remove undocumented violent people from our country. And so the idea that you want to go into a zombie law, this is kind of like what we saw in Arizona when they decided to revive a zombie law around abortion. It is the fact that we can't trust this administration.
Help me understand something, right? Because she's avoiding the question. She answered it, but she avoided the question. Essentially, his question was, how do you feel about him enacting this law, which is considered a zombie law, right? To find a way to get the more violent criminals that are here illegally outside the country. And with that being, and depending on your opinion, do you feel like this is appropriate and that he should use any means necessary to get them out? Because essentially that's what he's doing, using any means necessary to get the violent ones out. Her answer essentially was, why is he doing that? We already have stuff in place to do that. Well, seemingly it's not working, because how is it that we have the deaths of so many people, young women in particular, by people that were already here and got arrested and then put back on the streets, but yet we already have laws to get violent offenders out of here? That doesn't make any sense, because if that was the case, Lake and Riley would be alive, right? Because last time I checked, and I could be wrong, the person that killed her and murdered her in such a gruesome fashion was arrested in New York, released, and then traveled all the way down to Georgia and committed that crime. There were literally instances of Trende Aragua gang members, right, getting arrested in Denver and then traveling over to New York because they were released. And they knew this because they had tracked them. So you're saying that we already have laws in place to do this, but it's not happening. And this is the problem with the Democratic Party that they're still not getting. People are seeing things in real time and they're telling them, what are you talking about? This is why I get upset, because I don't really mind the Democratic Party. I more so agree with being independent, because I'm gonna go with policy, meaning if the policy makes sense, I'm gonna go with it. Because before, you know, the election really gained speed, I was gonna vote for RFK because I liked him as a candidate when it came to not so much the vaccine stuff I gotta look into. Trust me, I know people are gonna say that. But when it came to like his idea of make America healthy and everything like that, because I'm a big proponent of understanding what we put in our bodies and how it affects not just our physical cells, but our emotional and mental. So I was gonna vote for him, and then he dropped out because the Democratic Party was doing some slime shit. If you don't know, look it up. This is what pisses people off. People are saying, hey, look, this is going on. You know, people are committing crimes and they're illegal. And they're like, oh, yeah, we see. We have laws in place, though. At least he's doing something while you're just sitting there saying, we already have things set in place to do this. And it's like, so why wasn't it being done? How is it that they're picking people up that have all these crimes and accusations, or like legit crimes put against them, and they're now deporting them, and you guys are like, no. And this is kind of old, but a judge had basically said, hey, look, those flights that go into El Salvador that send illegals back, bring them back. But yet you want to sit here and say, yeah, we got things set in place to protect. But do you really? Do you really? That's why they approve ratings in the toilet. Because even the people that really don't like Donald Trump are sitting there going, okay, I'm listening to what the Democratic Party has to say, and they're saying a whole bunch of nonsense. Bibble, babble, bullshit. That's the issue. Because let's just say I didn't vote for Trump, I voted for Kamala and everything like that. I would for sure be like, yo, what are you talking about? How are you going to say that there's stuff set in place, but yet these people are still running rampant? They get arrested, and in some cases they get released back into the populace. Make that make sense. Unless everyone's lying. Unless Laken Riley's killer didn't get arrested in New York and then travel down to Georgia after getting released. Come on now. We got to be real. We got to be real. But look, that's it. I'm not going to beat up on Jasmine Crockett too much. You know, can't wait to read the comments for this one. Ooh, it's going to be good. Can't wait. You know, I need that motivation. I need you guys to come at me hot. Well, you guys already know the drill. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment down below. Tell me your grievances, your opinions, and your thoughts about this. And let me know if I'm off, because I know surely some of you will. And subscribe if you want more. Peace.